Hello dear viewers, hope you all are doing well. Welcome to Revision Time. In this video, we will be studying about double column cash book. In our previous video, we have looked into the meaning of double column cash book, studied about the format of double column cash book and posted few of the simple entries in our double column cash book. Just for a quick revision, double column cash book is nothing but where there are two columns on each side, on the debit and credit side, two columns of cash and bank, where we record the transactions based upon the receipts and the payments. We also studied about the very important point known as contra entry. Here it's highlighted. Contra entries are nothing but entries in which both the accounts, bank account and the cash account, are affected. Such entries are called as contra entries, and it is very important that in the ledger folio account, in the ledger folio column, we have to mention as capital C to differentiate that particular entry as a contra entry, and at end we have to just total the both the sides and find out the balance, and balance has to be carried down to the next month. Similarly, today we will be looking into another problem where we will be posting few more accounts, few more transactions in our double column cash book. All these transactions are important from the examination point of view, so please pay attention and let's get started for the day. Let's read out the transactions. Post entries into double column cash book. April 1 cash balance 80,000 rupees. April 1 bank OD balance 20,000 rupees. If you remember, in our previous video I had mentioned that cash balance will always be debit balance. It is always brought down on the debit side, but bank balance can be debit balance or credit balance. There is possibility that the bank balance can be negative balance, and here it's exactly the same. Bank OD balance is nothing but bank negative balance. OD is the facility of bank, is an account, OD account, where you can withdraw more than your account balance, where you can overdraw your account. So this is a negative balance and it is affected on our credit side. Let's start the entries. April 1st, to balance brought down. Cash balance always debit balance 80,000. Similarly, we have OD balance, so it will affect on our credit side 20,000. It's very important point to remember. It's very important to remember that OD balance has to be brought down on the credit side. Next, April 5th, banked rupees 50,000. Banked rupees 50,000 is nothing but cash deposited into bank 50,000. It's just a short entry for cash deposited into 50,000. Cash deposited in bank 50,000. Here again, cash and bank, both the accounts are coming into consideration. And what do we call for such entries? Contra entry. Yes, let us record it. Banked 50,000. So here cash is deposited into bank, so cash is going out of the business. So cash is paid, payment side, cash is paid to bank. By bank, credit entry is by. By bank, cash column 50,000 and ledger folio column capital C. Similarly, cash, here we have paid, so here cash account, contra entry, bank column 50,000. I hope this is clear to you. Repeating it again, bank rupees 50,000 is nothing but cash deposited into bank 15,000. So cash is deposit, we are depositing it into bank, which means we are paying it. So on the payment side, by bank, on cash column 50,000 and cash account bank column 50,000. Next, cash sales 10,000. We are receiving cashier payment, receipts to sales. Cash sales, cash column 1 lakh rupees. Okay. Goods sold to Mr. X and received check 80,000. Another point to remember, when we are selling goods and check is received, we have to read the further transaction whether check received is deposited on the same day or is deposited on the later date. Here, goods sold to Mr. X and received check. Let's read the further transactions too. Received from Mr. Y, check dishonored. So here it's not mentioned. So it is assumed that check received is deposited on the same day. So we can make the entry for it. If it was not deposited on the same day, if the later dates, if the transaction is given on the later dates, we have to make the transaction or entry on that date itself. Here we assume that check is deposited on the same day because there is no transaction after that. There is not given anywhere that check of Mr. X is deposited on 24th April or 23rd April. There's no transaction mentioning of Mr. X check. So we assume that it's deposited on the same day. So goods sold to Mr. X and received check. So sold and received check. So again sales account, and we are receiving it through bank. So 80,000 rupees. Next, received from Mr. W on behalf of Mr. Y. Here we are again receiving, but read out the transaction carefully. Received from Mr. W on behalf of Mr. Y. We have to record in our books Mr. Y itself because we are not concerned with Mr. W. There is no business with Mr. W. Our business is with Mr. Y and we had to receive from Mr. Y. So we will record Mr. Y to Mr. Y 10,000 rupees. Next, check of Mr. X dishonored. Here again, what do you mean by dishonored? Dishonored means when the check is received and when you present it in the bank, but the payment is not processed. Why? Because there is the possibility that the account balance is not as much as the amount mentioned on the check. So in that case, the check gets dishonored. Okay. Now here the check which Mr. X had given to you of 80,000 has been dishonored. But now we have made the entry on our sales on a receipt side that we have received the amount. On the same day when we deposited the check, we have made the entry about it that it's deposited and we are going to receive it. But now it's dishonored. We haven't received the amount. So on the payment side, we will balance it and remove the amount from our double column cash book on by Mr. X, that is dishonored. How much? 80,000. So now the account got balanced. If we had received the amount, it was well and good, but we did not receive and we had made already an entry of it. Now we have to balance it that we aren't receiving. So on the payment side, we made it a balance. We made the accounts equal and we removed rupees 80,000 from our double column cash book. Next, paid salary by check. By salary by check we are making the payment. So 5,000 rupees. Next, paid commission 10,000 rupees. By commission cash column 10,000 rupees. Deposit into bank entire balance after retaining 5,000 rupees. Now here they are telling us to deposit all the amount into the bank and we have to keep only 5,000 rupees with us. Balance of rupees 5,000 rupees and we have to deposit entire cash balance in our bank account. First let us find the total 1,10,000, 80,000, 1,90,000. Here 10,000 and 50,000, 60,000 is the total. So deposit cash into bank is again a contra entry. So here bank account, capital C. Let's wait for the amount to cash account, capital C. Now we are retaining only balance of rupees 5,000 with us. Cash balance of 5,000 and entire amount we are depositing into bank. So 80,000, 1 lakh and 10,000 is 1,90,000, and here our total is 65,000. So from 1,95,000, sorry, 1,90,000, when we minus 65,000, 1,25,000 bank account and 1,25,000 here. So total 1,90,000 and total of our 2,55,000 and 1,05,000. So 2,55,000 minus 1,05,000. 1,50,000 is the balance. 2,55,000. So this is it. Here, just to repeat the last transaction, deposited into bank entire balance after retaining 5,000 rupees. Here they are telling us from entire cash balance only keep rupees 5,000 and deposit all the amount into the bank. So we made an entry for it. So bank account debit to cash account. We made the total of our debit side, which was 1,90,000, and the debit for the credit side after retaining the balance of 5,000 was 65,000. Then we totaled, and then the balance of rupees 1,25,000 was entirely deposited into our bank account. Very important to mention contra entries and to differentiate it as capital C. Contra entries are entries where both cash and bank columns are affected. So this is it for today's video. We took into consideration more accounts, more transactions related to double column cash book. We studied about overdraft account, bank deposited. We studied whether if the check is received, we have to check whether the check is deposited into the bank on the same day or later date, and if it is deposited on the later date, we have to make entry on that particular date. And if the check is dishonored, we have to balance our account and remove that particular amount from our double column cash book, because if we don't remove, we considered it as the amount is received and the balance may be improper. We may not get the correct outcome of our cash book. And at last, deposited into bank after retaining, we just kept 5,000 cash balance with us, and entire balance we deposited into our bank account. If you have more entries or more transactions more than this where you require solution, you can post it into our comment section. We are happy to help you out. Until then, like our video, subscribe to our channel and share our videos with your friends. Happy learning. Signing off.